Setting up my Crescent kayaks shoaly, picking away at a couple different projects. I've done the torpedo install, I did the anchor setup, and now I'm kind of getting into some details that are pretty critical because they may save your life in certain situations. So I have a number of kayak fishing accessories here that I want to show you that in certain situations may save your skin. So I'll just go over the list of what I have here, and then we'll go one by one through each of them. The most obvious here is the visibility flag. You need other boaters out there to be able to see you. The one that I use is it's the Yak Attack Visi Carbon Pro, and I have a different flag here. This one is one that my buddy Chuck Earls has a local producer up on Lake Erie that it just says Jesse Yak flags. We'll get into that a little bit later, why that one's a nice flag to add to the Visi Carbon Pro. The next one, I have these pool noodles here, and I just picked these up at the dollar store the other day. I will shove those into the hull here, and we'll get into why it's important to have these inside a rotomolded kayak. Another option that you want to have with you, especially if you do offshore kayak fishing or big water kayak fishing, is the hand bilge pump. This one I got from NRS, and for sure, if you get water in the hull, this is a nice way, if you're in open water and you can't lift one end because there's no land, to drain it out the other. This helps you. It's nice in conjunction with, and I just have a car washing sponge to get that last little bit of water out of there. The next one is, there's a couple different things that you can do to be heard. One is the whistle, and I keep that on my life jacket, and the other is an air horn. The air horn is something that I always have if I'm fishing somewhere that it's really foggy and I'm just really anxious to make sure that other boaters hear me. If there's a lot of fog out, if somebody is boating drunk and not paying attention, you need to be able to get their attention really quick. The same thing you can do with the whistle. And this is something that legally you need to have on you anyways. So a nice loud whistle that's on your, it's actually on your life jacket. The other one, I gotta blow it just because I did the other horn. I keep this one in the pocket of the life jacket. If I get separated from the boat, it's on me. The NRS Copilot is always right here on my life jacket. That way, if I need to abandon an anchor and just cut it, I can do that. If I'm on a river somewhere down south and they got the bush bobs, which are, if you don't know what it is, it's a kind of cheap and dirty way of catching a bunch of fish. You tie a string to an overhanging branch, put a hook on it, and you dangle the bait in the water, and you just go through one bank and you look and see which of the tree branches are shaking, and you get your fish. Those things dangle down and can catch on you, on your skin, your clothing, pull you out of the boat, do all kinds of bad things. And to be able to reach up with a knife and cut it is important. I think that's basically it. But let's take a look at each of these one by one, and I'll give you some close-up shots of each product, and maybe give a little bit more detail on it. So let's start with the pool noodles, and I just shove them. I got two of them. I should probably get a few more, but I just shove them inside the hull and forget about it. They're extra flotation. This boat doesn't have any foam blocks inside it. A lot of companies, including Jackson Kayak, I got the Take 2 there on the top of the truck, has foam block in it, which is flotation. A lot, Hobie does it with with a lot of their boats, they'll put it in places where you want to, you basically create a structure so that when you push on something, it's rigid and it supports, so you don't have as much hull flex. But it's also flotation, so not every boat has it. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is some in here and I just don't know about it yet. But I make sure, because I've been out there. I'll tell you a story about being on the Chesapeake Bay, out in the middle where the Bay Bridge is. And I remember I was in a Ride 135, and I just started. I mean, maybe I was a couple months into fishing the bay regularly for striped bass. And I remember leaning and feeling an echo of the lean about a second or two afterwards. And what that was is there was water in the hull, and I had actually got water in the hull because I had it so loaded with a fish bag full of ice and all sorts of other gear, because I was harvesting. I was going to bring some striped bass home to eat, which I haven't done in years because we don't have enough of the population of striped bass to do that. But anyways, I brought a fish bag full of ice. I launched off of a floating dock, and as it went over, the hull flexed in a way that somewhere in the middle of the underside of the hull, I got a crack in here somewhere near a scupper. I don't totally remember. I do remember that I had Blue Mountain Outfitters do the welding job on it. But I'm 2.5 miles from shore, and I leaned, and it went, well, I'm gonna lean with you. And then you lean back the other way and you're like, okay, good, I saved it. Not really, it's gonna go the other way. So the pool noodles that are in there, if you have a catastrophic failure, that little bit of foam that's in there is just one more thing, last ditch effort. Like, it's filled with water and you're hoping someone sees your flag, or you've been blowing on your whistle. By the way, 3 times is your distress call. It's an SOS. 3 times is come save me, come help me, I'm in trouble. So if you repeatedly go 1, 2, 3 with the whistle or the air horn, although the air horn's only going to last so long, that's how you get someone's attention, repeatedly blowing the whistle 3 times. Anyhow, the pool noodles is just extra flotation that will not fail. So hopefully keeps your boat if you do get a massive crack from going down. So if you have access to like a hatch that's here in the center, right? If you have one of these, and I actually did that day on the Chesapeake Bay, the hand bilge pump is something that can get you out of a jam. And I know my own story of being able to remove a bunch of water from out there in the middle of the Chesapeake and get back with less water. I still had a good bit of water, and then it was still unstable because of the sloshing of the water inside the hull. Matthew Van, who's a kayak fishing guide down in Pensacola, he's one of our team Torpedo anglers. Very good kayak fishing guide, but even the guides, very experienced anglers, they got experience by having their own mishaps, and he had one with water getting in the hull of his Hobie Pro Angler 14, and he had one of these, and he had the center hatch to pump it, but he was in rough weather and he had water getting in his hull. I think he said through the rod tubes, the horizontal rod storage, which he had stored his micro power pole in there. And I guess the point of it, as he's driving down the road, was pecking at the end of that like a woodpecker, and eventually opened up a hole. If you trailer a boat with horizontal rod storage, maybe don't put your power pole spike in it. Anyhow, he was able to use his hand bilge pump to clear enough water in really rough seas. He also had the radio, and he talked to a couple of his buddies and said, "I'm in trouble. Come meet me. You know where I launched." And they came out and helped him. Matthew, if you're watching this, hopefully I told your story correctly, but that's how I remember you telling me, and I retell that story because hopefully your mishap, your near-death experience might save someone else's life. The next thing that we're going to talk about is the NRS Copilot. So I had one of these before I owned one of these, saved my life. And maybe it wasn't this particular model, but this one I do like. I like that it's on my life jacket. It's not, you know, tucked away in the front hatch or underneath the seat in some dry bag. It is quick access, and that is critical. When you need a knife, you need to be able to get it quick, and this is harder to do one-handed. It's easy to do one-handed to get it off. You pinch it, and then you kind of flip that out, and it's ready to reach up and say, I give up on you, anchor, and cut that anchor line. It has the serrated edge here that cuts things very easy, and it has some flat edges as well. So, and that blunt tip, you know, makes it so, well, if you're reaching underneath some part of you to cut something free, you're not always slowing down because you're poking yourself. It's I'm not saying it's not sharp, but that blunt tip is a good design. If you don't have one, you got to get one. You got to put it on your life jacket. They have these little squares that the clip goes in, and it's always right there when you need it. We will jump to my whistle. A lot of them available. This one is branded Storm. Any paddle sports shop should be able to get it. I'm sure you can get any of these, you know, just doing an online search. NRS actually carries most of this stuff. The pump, I don't think they carry the VisiCarbon Pro, but any Yak Attack dealer can get that for you. The whistle, just have it on you. And like I mentioned, if you're in distress, if you just want to get somebody's attention, like, hey, watch out, one whistle. But if you're really in trouble, three blows repeatedly get someone's attention and says, come over here and save me, I'm in distress. What else? We got the air horn, and I probably need to replace mine, but you can go to Walmart and get these. I like having these when I'm on salt water. And I mentioned fog. You know, the light that you twist is only going to do so much good. It's a bright light, and we'll come back to the flag. But you know, it's something that it's a last-ditch effort to really get someone's attention to say, hey, please don't run me over with your powerboat. So keep that handy, especially when I'm on salt water. VisiCarbon Pro, this flag, there's actually someone up in Ohio that sews these. What happens is this opens up like a windsock, and that way you have this open from, you know, it fills out in a three-dimensional shape, and it's visible from any direction. Whereas if it's just a flat flag, it can go straight and flat, and from either immediately downwind or upwind, you don't see it. Whereas if it's sideways, it's visible, but from this direction wouldn't be where it's flat. Even right now, it's sort of opening up just a little bit. So, and then I mentioned just the car washing sponge. I don't know that that's so much a lifesaver. It could be if you don't have one of those, but it gets the last little bit. You can actually get a good bit of water, and I got some just from the rain last night. But you know, just get that last little bit of water out of there. That's it. Hopefully you got a shopping list that you're gonna go get some things that are gonna be very useful to you when you're in a jam. Yak Attack, you can get the VisiCarbon Pro. NRS, you can get most of the other stuff. And I said Walmart has these, like every Walmart in the boating section has these. See ya.